Hello, Eric here. Now, I know this isn't my usual Doctor Cinema movie or TV stuff. Back when I first started this YouTube channel, it was basically me just doing a bunch of random rants. And then I transitioned to TV movie stuff. But now I kind of want to keep doing the whole random rant stuff. And I think today I'm going to do a rant, not really more rant, more of like a list of the 12 rap albums I've listened to this year and how I ranked them. Before I became a big movie TV guy, hip hop was my thing to talk about, to be on top of. It's kind of been slipping the last few years, but I still think I keep in touch with all the stuff that I'm familiar with and some new stuff as well. But anyway, I listened to 12 rap albums that were released in the year 2017, mainly because that was all I could get around to listening to, at least all the way through. So I listened to 12 of them, and I'm going to rank them. So let's start at the bottom at number 12. That would be the new Eminem album, Revival. Now, this I think is the ninth studio album from Eminem. Yeah, ninth. I think that's it. And obviously, this is also following his BET cipher about him going after Donald Trump and everything like that. And Eminem, well, as for his album Infinite, it's kind of like forgotten. It's not terrible, but it's just kind of like forgettable. His next three albums are all modern hip hop classics. His next three after that, Encore, Relapse, Recovery, subpar. Marshall Mathers LP2 back in 2013, I thought was actually pretty good overall. And now we have Revival. Yeah, definitely not one of his strongest albums. The whole Walk on Water song, which I think is the first single from the album, it didn't get with me at first, and I don't think Beyonce was right for that role. But it has grown on me a little bit. But then the next two songs are just cringe. I mean, I just cringe right listening to the next two songs. Ugh. Don't get me wrong, there is stuff I like from this album. Bad Husbands, Tragic Endings featuring Skylar Grey, Castle, and there are several other songs I do like from this album. But even I have to admit, there's definitely more bad than good. I don't think this is his worst album. I'd probably still say Relapse is his worst album. Maybe Encore as well. I have to go back and listen to Encore to be sure. But yeah, I I I just can't get around the fact of what is on here. But let's go on to number 11 now. That would be the Jay-Z album 444. This is his 13th album. Man, 13. So, and it's basically gotten attention because I think it has 8 Grammy nominations. I mean, it's definitely not bad, but 8 Grammy nominations? Really? Um, but yeah, I didn't actually realize this album was out until several months afterwards, and even then, the person who told me about it was like, it's fine. So I listened to it, and it's definitely a album by a middle-aged rapper who's past the high point of his career. It's not bad, like I said. There are some stuff that I appreciate, but the first song, Kill Jay-Z, just sounds like basically every song from a middle-aged rapper about killing his past life or alter ego to move on and mature. That's a thing now. Um, so so it's similar to Revival in that sense. It's an album from a middle-aged rapper past the height of his career. But and even though there are songs I listen to from Revival, and there aren't really any songs I can listen to 444 over and over, I do have to give Jay-Z credit because he is trying to talk about new stuff that he really hasn't talked about before. And so I do appreciate that. And if I'm being objective and fair, I'm going to have to put 444 over Revival. So let's move on then to number 10 on my ranking, which will then be Drogas Light by Lupe Fiasco. It's his 6th album. Yeah, 6. So Lupe Fiasco, he's a conscious rapper from Chicago, does mainly conscious rap stuff. and he's pretty good when he does that stuff. My favorite album from him would be his second album, uh, The Cool. Yeah, The Cool. But I think I've come to notice that whenever he puts out like a conscious rap album or two conscious rap albums, he has to do something commercial for some reason. Because then his third album was Lasers, which didn't really do that well. And then his next two albums, Food and Liquor Part 2, I think it's called, and then Tetsuo and Youth, definitely a little bit more on the conscious side. But then we have Drogas Light. Now, this isn't nearly as bad as Lasers, but it does feel like it's sort of like a compromise between being conscious and commercial with a lean more towards commercial. But there is a couple of songs I do like on here. There's Jump, which I really got into, Made in the USA. And it's still a nice album to listen to, but don't go into it think it's going to be like The Cool or something like that. I still prefer Tetsuo and Youth over this one. So let's move on to number 9. That'll be this mini. I'm like a kid. That would be. I can't actually pronounce the official name of this album, but it's also called The Book of Revelation by the rapper Prodigy. Prodigy is one half of the hip hop duo Mobb Deep from back in the 1980s. Their biggest accomplishment being Shook Ones, the song. They made a few albums together, Prodigy and Havoc as Mobb Deep, but then they went on to do their solo work. Prodigy, his first 3 albums were HNIC, and if you can't tell what the acronym stands for, I'm not going to say it because I'm not allowed to say it. And then you got the Bumpy Johnson album, his 4th one, and now this is his 5th album, The Book of Revelation. Prodigy, as a rapper, he goes beyond like the consciousness of Felipe Fiasco, sort of into the paranoid territory. The one song that I can't remember off the top of my head from a few years ago is Prodigy's song Illuminati, him talking about the Illuminati, of course. But on this album, The Book of Revelation, his thinking has sort of matured. Yeah, I'm given how old he was at the time of this album's release, I'm surprised, but one song even starts off with some things are connected, but not everything is. So I'm actually kind of impressed by that because I always thought he was a little bit on the weird side with his like paranoid of the Illuminati and everything like that. But I really like this album. This is for those hardcore old school hip hop people that want to hear rappers talk about big stuff like issues and life and everything like that. So from the beat and production wise, there's some nice stuff, but that's not really the focus. It's really heavy on the lyrics and the stuff he's talking about. So it's not going to really attract casual hip hop fans. This was supposed to be the first of a trilogy of albums, but unfortunately, earlier this year, after the release of this album, he passed away. R.I.P. Prodigy, you are a hip hop legend. Alright, let's move on to number 8, which would be Make America Crip Again by Snoop Dogg. So this is the second of 2 major music projects Snoop Dogg released earlier this year. This one coming out a few months ago. And it's short. It's an EP. It's got 8 songs, but it's still fun to listen to. It's those beats that you like chilling back to. And on the first song, Make America Crip Again, of course, that's where like the main focus of like the message and theme of the album is, but there's still plenty of songs here to listen out to just to relax. Nothing too heavy, not too light though either. Just nice songs to listen to. Alright, let's move on to number 7. 7. Which would be Forever is a Mighty Long Time by Big Crit. Big Crit got his start with a series of mixtapes leading up to his first album, Live from the Underground, which I thought was above average. The second album, though, I really liked, Cadillactica. I really liked that one. Now this is his third album, Forever is a Mighty Long Time, And as far as his albums go, this is definitely his most personal one yet. There are a lot of songs on this album, though, which is sort of works against it, similar to Revival by Eminem. But he definitely puts his passion, his soul onto a lot of these tracks. And there are maybe a couple songs that are like just bangers that you can just like relax and hype up to, but it's mainly more about him talking about himself, his inner self. Got no other way to put it like that. But it's definitely an album that Big Crit fans would really love, and I still think it's a pretty good album. So let's move on to number 6, which would be All the Beauty in This Whole Life by Brother Ali. Brother Ali a he's a very unique rapper. He's he's based in Minneapolis, Wisconsin area. He's signed on to Rhymesayers Entertainment, the label that has the hip hop duo Atmosphere, the hip hop duo Atmosphere on it. And he's already have a few albums under his belt. He's got Rites of Passage, Shadows of the Sun, The Undisputed Truth, Us, Morning in America, and Dreaming in Color. But with this album, this is his. Hold on, let me just double check. 1, 2, 3. His sixth album? Yeah, sixth album. I think it's by far his most positive feeling album in terms of atmosphere. There's definitely a lot of stuff he brings up, like religion, his struggle with albinism, and the suicide of his father. And that's really focused on the song Pray For Me. But this is definitely his most positive feeling album. And it's a really refresher considering the political climate of the US and the world in general. And there's definitely a lot of positive stuff that you can just smile to while listening. And I thought that was a really nice change of pace. Now let's move on to our 5th album, which would be Captain California by the rapper Murs. Murs is, I guess he's a rapper. I'm not really sure if I call him an indie rapper. I think right now he's affiliated with Strange Music created by Tech Nine. And Murs has done some stuff with Rhymesayers, mainly with Atmosphere, doing a couple albums with them. And this is his 6th album, 6 as well, Captain California, mainly talking about himself, his life in California, California life. And there are some really nice songs I do like on here. There's Lemon Juice, which I thought was a comedic rap song about 2 guys trying to compete for a woman. One of my favorites is One of Those Days, just him and another female rapper on the track just talking about crappy days they had. Another one would be Colossus, which is a really nice banger song. Another Round, which I thought was pretty well done. It's just a really nice California album from someone that's not really a gangsta rapper like The Game or anyone like that. It's really well worth the listen to. Now, the 4th album in this ranking is Never Left by Snoop Dogg, the first of 2 major projects he released this year. And this is his 15th? Man, 15th album. Damn. Everyone knows Snoop Dogg. His first album, Doggy Style, is a classic. But since then, there really haven't been any albums that have been quite up to par completely. The second album, The Dogfather, I listen to every now and then, and there are definitely songs from all of his albums I like listening to. But I think this is his first album in a while where I can look at the entirety of it and like, yeah, this is really good. Just Snoop Dogg just being Snoop Dogg, saying he really hasn't changed that much. He's still the same old guy he was. And while that may seem kind of contradictory, seeing how I ranked Revival and 444 pretty low on this list, The way he just does it, the Snoop Dogg way. You just can't help but just really get into it. Now let's get on to the big three. Number three would be Damn by Kendrick Lamar. Now, everyone really knows who Kendrick Lamar is. I don't really have to go that deep into it. Now, of course, Kendrick Lamar is, well, he's Kendrick Lamar. He's a Compton rapper, part of the Black Hippie unofficial group, part of Top Dog Entertainment, and I want to say this is his third album. No, it's his fourth. I always forget Section 80 is an album, not a mixtape. But yeah, Section 80, really popular album. Then Good Kid, Mad City, instant classic. To Pimp a Butterfly is really good. Damn is his fourth one, and people, of course, are hyped about it. And in a lot of respects, it does meet expectations, but in some of the more important ones, I suppose it does sort of fall below expectations. You see, Kendrick, he's that rapper that gets so much hype, so much attention, so much love that everyone just expects the next thing from him to be like a classic, this big thing. And so eventually, expectations are going to have to be let down because there's just too much hype to compete with. But like I said, I do believe in a lot of specs, expectations are met. But from an album that's just called Damn, I'm expecting like a few more hard hitting songs. Like DNA and Humble is what I'm thinking about when I think of Damn. There are a lot of good tracks on here too, talking about other stuff. But it's just not what I was completely expecting. I still really like this album, but not what I was expecting, which I guess in some respects can be a downfall. Now let's go on to number two, All American Badass by Joey Badass. Joey Badass got his attention from his mixtapes, mainly 1999, where of course he has this like 90s rap feel whenever he raps on a track. His first album a couple years ago, don't really know what exactly it's called. It's like B for duh and then like $2 signs. Not really sure how to properly pronounce that. But it was pretty good. It was a nice balance between like that old school 90s feel, but also with Joey's own style. But with his second album, All American Badass, this year, it's definitely his unique style. The 90s feel is more or less gone from this album, and it's just Joey being his own rapper, and it's really good. Two of my favorite songs are Rockabye Baby, Ring the Alarm. It's a really great album. And in terms of just looking at studio album releases, Joey's probably the youngest, most newest member on this ranking of the albums I listened to this year. But like I said, he's had several mixtapes before. So this is just, I just really like to see this growth of a rapper in terms of studio albums. It's just something I really like to listen to. Now, my number one album, this is definitely gonna be surprising. Trial by Fire by Yellow Wolf. Now, I've always been a Yellow Wolf fan with his mixtapes, his trunk music. His first album, Radioactive, definitely a disappointment. Second album, I thought was a lot better, a lot of songs I like, but it lacked like that general focus, that general like connectedness between all the songs. Now, Trial by Fire was delayed. It was going to release earlier, like 2016, I think, but the death of one of his best and closest friends delayed the release of the album as Yellow Wolf seeked to get like mental help from like depression and such. And there's definitely that general focus and connection on this album with a lot of great stuff on it. My two favorite ones are probably Shadows, which is like the second track on the album. And then my next one, hold on, let me just check. Let me just check what it is. Keeps Me Alive, really touching song. There's also great ones. The song Ride or Die is a tribute to his friend who passed away. There's Row Your Boat, can be a little bit cheesy, but I really like it. There's Son of a Gun, and Daylight, Get Mine. Just a lot of great stuff on this album. I just really like it. I know that it's not going to be everyone's opinion. But that's my ranking of all the 12 rap albums I listened to this year. I, I'm glad I listened to all the ones I did, even the lower ranking ones. Looking forward to 2018 in terms of hip hop. That's what I've got to say. Eric Thompson. That's the end of this video. So